Welcome to Sportpen. Today, get ready to dive into a story that still sends shivers down the spines of sports fans. The incredible 2008 Jamaican sprint team.
Oh yeah, absolutely electrifying stuff.
Imagine a tiny island, comparable in size to Brooklyn, New York, suddenly exploding onto the global stage.
And dominating.
Yeah.
In sprinting, one of the most fiercely contested events there is.
Exactly. It wasn't just a good year. 2008 was a year that kind of redefined what we thought was possible.
It really did. Even with Jamaica's history, their prior successes in track and field, the sheer scale of what they did in 2008 was, well, breathtaking.
Breathtaking is the word.
You have this relatively small nation, not massive resources, rewriting the record books. It's a sporting narrative for the ages.
Totally. So we're going to explore not just the victories, but what really fueled that unprecedented dominance.
Right, those key moments, the determination, the actual performances.
Yeah, those game-changing performances that just became legendary overnight. But, beyond the medals, we also want to dig into a bigger question. What actually defines greatness in sports?
That's a good question.
How do certain athletes or teams or even whole seasons come along and just fundamentally change the whole story?
Yeah, rewrite the possibilities.
Let's maybe start by looking at some of the key individuals who made 2008 so electric, beginning with Asafa Powell. Before Beijing, there was quite a bit of chatter about his mental game, right? On the biggest stage.
There was, yeah. A lot of talk. And Powell, he addressed those claims pretty directly. He basically said, look, the Olympics, it's no different for me than any other major meet.
Same athletes, same race.
Exactly. Same guys he competed against week in, week out. He even pointed out that he'd run his personal best in his first Olympic final back in Athens.
Which kind of complicates that narrative, doesn't it? The idea he always wilted under pressure.
It definitely throws a spanner in the works of that theory. But here's something really interesting. Despite holding the world record at one point, running under 10 seconds, 31 times?
Incredible consistency.
Yeah. But he admitted he wasn't always the most, shall we say, dedicated trainer.
Really? That's surprising.
He was surprisingly candid about it. Acknowledged he sometimes skipped practice, maybe didn't push himself as hard as prescribed.
Why? Did he say why?
He put it down to simple laziness sometimes, but also, he recognized the intense pain involved in elite training. It's a very human insight, I think.
It really is. Paints a picture of someone with just immense natural talent, but also, relatable flaws. And he had other interests too, right? Not just track.
Oh, yeah. Dreamed of being a football player, or maybe a mechanic, like his dad who worked on cars.
Ah, okay.
And speaking of cars, he was apparently a serious enthusiast, owned 6 of them, including a souped-up Nissan Skyline he thought could beat a Ferrari.
Love that confidence. What about Osaka, the championships there?
That was a bit of a mixed bag for him, it seems. He enjoyed the Japanese car culture, sure, but on the track, he felt he underperformed there.
Right. Highlights that mental roller coaster they're on.
Definitely. And then there was his rivalry with Tyson Gay. Powell respected Gay's hard work, no doubt. But he truly believed he was faster. Simple as that. Added a fantastic layer of tension to that era.
You need that in sprinting. And wasn't there a story about his coach, Charlie Francis?
Oh, yeah, the hill sprints. Francis was apparently furious when Powell turned up late for training. Made him do these punitive hill sprints as punishment.
And Powell just jogged them.
He just jogged them, which you can imagine made Francis even angrier. But it kind of shows that tough but maybe ultimately caring coach-athlete dynamic.
Yeah, you see that a lot. And sponsorships, he was a big deal there too.
For sure. Initially with Nike, they even designed those Zoom Aerofly shoes specifically for him for the 2008 games. Later switched brands, Li-Ning, then Puma, plus deals with Lucas Sad, Neutralite. It shows the business side too.
Okay, so Powell's a fascinating figure. But then we have to talk about, the man himself. Usain Bolt.
Where do you even start? Bolt's achievements are just staggering.
That Olympic treble, right. 100-meter, 200-meter, 4x100-meter relay.
3 Olympics in a row,
Yeah.
consecutive golds in all 3. That kind of sustained dominance is just incredibly rare in any sport.
It really is the stuff of legend. But it wasn't always smooth sailing for him either, was it? That silver in Osaka in 2007.
Right, behind Tyson Gay in the 200 meters of the World Championships, that seems to have been a huge motivator. His coach, Glenn Mills, even admitted Bolt wasn't quite as prepared as he should have been for that race.
So do you think that loss, that setback, was actually crucial for what came next?
Oh, I think it certainly appears so. Bolt himself has said those, quote, disappointing performances in 2007 gave him a deeper motivation.
Pushed him harder.
Pushed him to train harder, smarter. It really highlights how, even for these unbelievably talented athletes, setbacks can be powerful catalysts.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How a perceived failure can launch you towards your greatest successes, and even later, facing that potential loss of the 2008 relay gold because of a teammate's doping issue. His reaction was quite composed.
It was remarkably so. He called it heartbreaking, which of course it was, but ultimately accepted it as, one of those things he couldn't control. That perspective is pretty rare.
Especially right after reaching such incredible heights. And after breaking the 100-meter world record in Beijing, he was apparently giving out advice in interviews.
Yeah, the details aren't specified, but you could imagine, right? Advice from the fastest man on the planet at that moment. Probably worth listening to.
Probably. And his coach, Glenn Mills, he saw 2008 Bolt as basically the biggest sports story of the year.
He did. Mills pointed to Bolt's junior success, that 2007 silver being a turning point, the rivalry with Powell building things up.
And then bam!
And then that surprise 100-meter world record early in 2008 before Beijing.
Yeah.
And then Beijing itself. Those runs were just iconic.
9.69 in the 100-meter, 19.30 in the 200 meters, 37.10 in the relay. Numbers etched in history. Okay, let's shift to the incredible women on that 2008 team. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. What a story.
Absolutely. Pure grit, pure determination. You hear stories about her as a kid, just always running. Her mom apparently had to keep telling her to walk.
Just born to run.
Maybe. And it speaks to that deeper culture of track and field in Jamaica. It's not just a sport. It's like part of the national identity. Kids learning to hurdle really young.
And Sports Day, we have to talk about Sports Day.
Oh, Sports Day is legendary. It's not just a school thing. It's a massive cultural event. The passion, especially from the parents, is incredible. Maybe even more intense than the Olympics for some.
Wow. So it creates this really competitive cauldron from a young age.
It absolutely does. And Fraser-Pryce, she had strong support. Her mother was strict about her getting to track practice. That discipline, that support system, it matters.
Definitely. And she talked about feeling underestimated sometimes because of her background.
Yeah, and how that fueled her, that determination to prove people wrong. Even later, after turning 30, having her son, she set these ambitious goals, breaking 11 seconds, breaking 22 seconds, and she did it.
Incredible resilience. That first Olympic 100-meter gold in 2008 must have just been this wave of relief after all the pressure.
You can only imagine. The pressure, then the sheer joy, the relief surging through her at the finish line.
And then just a year later, 2009 Worlds, that unbelievable start in the 100-meter final.
Phenomenal. A personal best made her one of the fastest women ever at that point.
Right.
Holding both Olympic and world titles. And her reaction, apparently she was just shocked. Like, Olympic and world champion, can you believe it? Me.
That's amazing. It really underscores the journey.
It really does.
And we can't forget Veronica Campbell-Brown either, another absolute powerhouse.
VCB. Yeah, another legend. Her 2008 Olympic 200-meter gold. That clearly holds a really special place for her.
And she spoke about the team's success that year.
She did. She attributed Jamaica's amazing run in 2008 to this powerful mix of national unity, sheer determination from every athlete, and just everyone hitting peak physical condition at the perfect time.
Perfect storm.
Exactly. She really emphasized 2008 as the year Jamaica just cemented itself, became a true sprinting powerhouse.
Okay, so we've seen these incredible individuals, but it feels like there's something more, right? A system behind it all in Jamaica that just keeps producing this excellence.
Absolutely. There's definitely a system. It starts really, really early with talent identification. They have national track champs even at the elementary school level.
Elementary school, wow.
Yeah. So they create this huge competitive pool of talent from a remarkably young age.
And then there's champs, the ISA Boys and Girls Championships. You mentioned it earlier, but it sounds like more than just a school meet.
Oh, way more. It's a massive cultural event. It has a long history, started way back in the early 1900s. For many Jamaicans, the passion around champs, it honestly rivals the Olympics. Some say it's bigger.
Bigger than the Olympics.
For them, yeah, it's incredible preparation, that atmosphere, for the pressure of world champs and the Olympics later on.
Makes sense. And the coaches must be key. People like Stephen Francis, Glenn Mills.
Absolutely pivotal. Often the unsung heroes, right? Francis founded the MVP Track Club, known for really innovative training, even with, sometimes limited resources.
Right.
And Glenn Mills, people talk about his coaching eye, this almost unique gift for spotting and nurturing raw talent.
Can you give us a bit more on their training approaches? Are they different?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
Stephen Francis often uses a long to short method, lots of short sprints year-round. Interestingly, he's apparently not a big fan of long, slow-distance runs for sprinters.
What is that?
Feels it can negatively impact pure speed development. His athletes often trained really hard, 4 days a week. And get this, before they had easy access to synthetic tracks, they'd often trained on a 370-meter grass track.
On grass, seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He also tends to have athletes start the season running the 400 meters to build that strong base.
That's fascinating. What about Mills? What's the secret to that coaching eye?
Mills really emphasizes that intuitive ability, watching the mechanics, the subtleties. He focuses heavily on maintaining optimal stride length, any shortening herd speed. He looks for that natural bounce and aggressive movement. It's part observation, part deep biomechanical understanding.
So it's a blend of art and science almost.
You could say that, yeah.
And we're seeing a trend now, more Jamaican athletes staying home for development instead of going to U.S. colleges.
That's a big shift, definitely. More athletes and coaches feel the intense demands of the U.S. college system. The schedule doesn't always mesh perfectly with peaking for major international champs.
Right, different priorities.
Exactly. Staying in Jamaica means training in a familiar system, with coaches who get the specific context, focusing squarely on those Olympic and world medals.
Which makes a lot of sense. It allows for a more tailored path. But it's still pretty amazing given that the resources, the infrastructure in Jamaica, it's not always state-of-the-art, is it?
That's a really crucial point. Jamaica isn't a wealthy country overall. Training facilities can be basic. We mentioned the grass tracks. Government investment in athletics hasn't historically been huge either.
So this success is built on?
It's largely built on the sheer dedication, the ingenuity of the athletes and coaches themselves, making the absolute most of what they have. It's a testament to their resourcefulness.
Truly remarkable. And there are efforts now to bring in more sponsorship, right, to boost that support.
Absolutely. There's a vision to make Jamaica the real sports hub of the Caribbean. Getting more sponsors involved, like Lucasade offering scholarships at UTEC, that's a key part of the plan.
Okay, now we have to touch on the, let's say, complex area of culture and genetics. It comes up a lot with Jamaican sprinting. Needs nuance, though.
It does. It's very multifaceted.
Yeah.
First off, sprinting is undeniably the national sport. It's embedded in the culture from childhood. Huge national pride. That passion is definitely a big factor.
For sure. And the genetic side, the talk about West African ancestry, fast-twitch muscle fibers.
Yeah, so research does suggest a higher prevalence of fast-twitch fibers in the Jamaican population, linked partly to West African ancestry. And that ACTN3 gene variant, the so-called speed gene, is more common too.
But it's always a but, right?
Right. But crucially, West Africans living in Africa don't dominate sprinting globally to nearly the same extent. So genetics alone isn't the whole story, not even close.
So it's the interaction.
Exactly. It's the interaction of potential genetic predispositions with culture, coaching, the environment, the system, all these things working together. It's never just one thing.
That's a really important distinction. It's the synergy. What about other cultural factors like Italivity, Rastafarianism? Does that play a role?
It's part of the broader cultural fabric. The emphasis in Ital on natural, healthy living, unprocessed foods. You could argue that might contribute to overall athleticism, but it's hard to isolate its specific impact on sprinting versus, say, diet trends globally. It's woven into a larger historical context, too.
And that history includes the British introducing organized sports, right? Setting up competitions.
Yeah, that historical foundation provided the framework, the structure for those school sports days, the national champs. It evolved from there.
So individual brilliance, the system, culture. What about just plain team spirit, that cohesion?
Hugely important. VCB specifically mentioned unity and determination as key to 2008. Track and field is such a massive source of national pride. It really unites the country behind the athletes. That support has to be powerful.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Thinking about all this, about the 2008 Jamaicans, what do you think really defines greatness in sport?
Well, it's clearly way more than just raw talent, isn't it? Mental strength is huge. Setting goals, focusing under pressure, coping with setbacks, that's massive.
The mental game.
Definitely. Then there's the sheer hard work, quality practice, day in, day out. Self-awareness, knowing your body, your limits, resilience, bouncing back, and, crucially, being coachable, willing to listen and learn.
It's the whole package.
It's a holistic blend, yeah. Physical, mental, emotional.
And it's interesting, that idea of balancing exploration versus intense focus.
Yeah. That's a fascinating area. While you obviously need intense dedication to reach the elite level, some research suggests that many top athletes actually sampled various sports when younger before specializing.
So a broader base helps.
Will might contribute to long-term success, maybe prevent burnout, build diverse skills. It's not always about laser focus from age 5.
And that sense of purpose, the mindset, That seems key, too.
Absolutely. Moving beyond just wanting to win or survive the training, finding a deeper significance in it, having clear direction, feeling like you belong to something bigger than yourself. Those are powerful drivers.
So the story of the 2008 Jamaican sprint team, it's just such a powerful reminder, isn't it? That this kind of incredible sporting greatness can explode from, well, unexpected places.
Totally unexpected for many. Fueled by that unique mix, talent, culture, coaching, and just this unwavering determination.
Their impact went way beyond the track, too. Inspired millions, put a small island nation firmly, undeniably on the global map of athletic powerhouses.
No question about it. They changed the game.
So thinking about it all, what do you, listening right now, think was the most crucial ingredient in that unprecedented success back in 2008?
Was it the coaching philosophy, that deep cultural passion for track, or just a golden generation, all these incredible talents emerging at once?
It's a great question, something that still sparks debate and honestly just awe when you look back at it.
It really does. An amazing story.
Thanks for listening to Sportpen.